might happen when it comes to physical competitions. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 crazy moments in sports. Though sometimes it means unbelievable or good, for this list, we're defining crazy as shocking and bad.
Right about here where Lambert grabs Shumway and down.
We're focusing on displays of bad
mother waffling on a chicken strudel. I cannot believe this shit.
Behavior, violence, and accidents that simply made our jaws drop. The events could have happened during or after sporting events, as well as away from play. Number 10, the World Series earthquake. This tremor struck the San Francisco Bay Area for 10 to 15 seconds and was caught live on TV because of the ongoing World Series. The MLB's Oakland Athletics and San Francisco Giants were warming up for their third game when the quake hit and had announcers scrambling for an explanation.
So the Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we have an
Measuring 6.9 on the Richter scale, the Loma Prieta earthquake caused over 60 deaths and thousands of injuries.
It's been a frightening scene here. As you can see, just below me is where this crack in the Bay Bridge occurred, a 50-foot section.
Number 9, Tim Donaghy and the NBA betting.
Oh my lord, wait, so like what happened to the baseball announcers? Because they were all the way up, like, did they survive it? How come they didn't save this? Like, at least the baseball players were down, but like the announcers and everybody else, like the fans that were up and the higher decks, did they survive? How come they didn't inform us? Ronald, Marty, let us know. Bill Patterson, you guys are from the old version. Let us know from the 70s. Let us know what happened. You guys probably recall that. Let us know in the comment section, please. Ronald, you know, come on, man, accept it. You're in the 70s.
Scandal. It was in 2007 that this basketball referee with a gambling problem shocked the NBA. Associating himself with multiple individuals who were tied to the mob, Tim Donaghy was charged for fixing games to pay off his debts. The gambling scandal resulted in Donaghy receiving a 15-month prison sentence for his involvement and the revision.
I remember this shit. This was like in 2002, 2003. I believe the Kings and the Lakers were playing in the Western Conference Finals, and supposedly the referee wanted the Lakers to win, and the Kings were about to win the series. So he started making all these fouls. Then they shoot like 23, 25 free throws the Lakers and late in the game. Like, it was pretty crazy. I remember watching this shit, but I don't remember a lot because I was like little. I was like 10, 11, but 12, but I do remember some of this. But yeah, I'm sure some of you, like Ronald, with the old version, remembers more.
Of behavior guidelines for NBA referees.
We got to take a break. Fascinating stuff. Well, I'm glad you're still here, hanging out, and don't do that. I'm the king of doing stupid stuff.
Number 8, Clint Malarchuk's neck is sliced by a skate. Luck was on this Alberta native's side the day the St. Louis Blues faced off against the Buffalo Sabres on March 22nd, 1989.
That's the story right now with Red. That is the... Oh, my God. Oh, please take the camera off and don't even bring it over there.
After Blues player Steve Tuttle accidentally slashed the goaltender's neck with his skate, team trainer Jim Pizzatelli rushed to his rescue and pinched off the bleeding until doctors arrived. 300 stitches and multiple sickened fans and players later, Malarchuk came out alive.
That's right, it's part of the game. All right, Clint, thanks very much for joining us and good luck. Thanks, Jerry.
Number 7, on-court attack of Monica Seles. Tennis is seen as a civilized sport where fans are pretty close to the action, sometimes maybe too close. After defeating Steffi Graf in the Australian Open, Monica Seles was stabbed by one of her rival's obsessed fans during a quarterfinal match in Hamburg. Seles didn't return to the sport competitively for 2 years after the incident.
When I was at a tennis match when this happened, I was doing something that I love, and I never ever expected something like this to happen.
Number 6, Over the Edge with Owen Hart. Wrestling is part competition, part...
Yeah, I think he died. I've heard about this. It was again in the 90s, but yeah, I believe he had an accident. The ring, they took him to the hospital, and then he died in the hospital. I'm not sure, though.
Entertainment. So when Owen Hart fell to his death during this pay-per-view event, many fans wondered if it was part of the storyline.
This is not
a part of the entertainment here tonight.
Their shock and confusion turned to disbelief and sadness when it became clear it wasn't.
Before we were going to walk out, I just heard them screaming, saying it's not a fake, get a real EMT back here. He's not breathing, the ripcord broke or something, I don't know.
When the safety harness malfunctioned, Hart's chest-first plunge into the top rope had EMTs come running. No footage of the tragedy has ever been officially released. Number 5, the punch-up in Piastani. During the final game of the 1987 Junior Championship between Canada and the Soviet Union, inexperienced referee Hans Runing's failure to make several calls triggered tension. This resulted in a post-face-off fight between two players that turned into a violent battle between both teams. To stop it, officials were forced to turn off the arena lights. The players and coaches involved in the 20-minute bench-clearing brawl received suspensions from the International Ice Hockey Federation.
I don't know what the international rule book calls for in this situation. It's never happened.
Number 4, the 1994-95 MLB strike.
I always wonder that shit, like how everybody just starts fighting like in football fields. What would you do? Imagine the football field during a day game, like at 12 o'clock, and everybody just starts fighting. You can't turn off the lights. You just better fight. Referees, man, if you can't take it, get out of there, you know. But, man, when a man has to fight, a man has to fight. And in football, I wonder if that were to happen. You have 52-man and 53-man and 53-man. That's what? That's like more than 100 people. If that shit would happen in football, man, it would be a fight. The police better put their hands up. You know, it's the other way around. I don't think they would have enough police and security to stop the fight. Coaches would be fighting. Everybody would be fighting. The referees probably have to fold like a chicken. Man, but that would be pretty interesting to see that happen like in a football game. You got all these players, and it happens during the daytime, and you're outside, you know. Man, that would be pretty interesting to see. You know, in hockey, you're able to stop it because, like I said, they turn off the lights. But you have that happen in football. Ooh, you better know how to fight, man.
It was because of this work stoppage that the first World Series in 90 years was canceled, and Major League Baseball lost its entire 1994 postseason. After salary negotiations between players and team owners took a turn for the worse, the players felt compelled to strike, and the season came to an abrupt end after several weeks.
I still think this can be settled. The parties are just going to have to decide whether they want to have a baseball season in 95.
Though a Supreme Court decision 232 days later stopped the strike, early low attendance for the 1995 season revealed fans' anger.
I already know what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start rereading Dante's Inferno, because that's where I think they should send the whole lot of them. Back to you.
Number 3, the play.
I remember that. Well, no, I don't remember. I was like 2 years old, but I remember Frank Thomas from the White Sox talking about it, how he feels like that season they could have won the World Series, and he was crying in his locker room when they told him the season was finished because they couldn't not get a new contract. Yeah, so I don't know, but I do remember the White Sox were one of the teams that possibly, my Chicago White Sox, had a chance to win the World Series that year, and the season got canceled because they couldn't come to a new agreement. And Frank Thomas was like, Frank Thomas was like 7 feet tall, 300 pounds, and he was crying. Oh my Lord.
After future Hall of Famer John Elway led the Stanford Cardinals offense to what appeared to be a game-winning touchdown, California's Golden Bears managed to return the kickoff down the field.
Still in deep trouble at midfield. They tried to do a couple of... The ball is still loose as they get it to Rogers. They give it back out of the...
Meanwhile, the Stanford band was storming the field while the play was still going on.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go in the end zone. He's going in the end zone.
Cali was ultimately given the victory, albeit a highly disputed one, and to this day the incident's regarded as one of the sport's most memorable plays ever.
There were flags all over the place. Wait and see what happens. We don't know who won the game.
Number 2.
I remember that shit. Obviously, same thing. It was like in the 70s, but or whenever the hell it was. But yeah, I remember a few years, like when I was younger, they would pass a commercial of this shit, and I thought they were just being silly, like trying to like just be silly. And then my father's like, no, this shit actually happened. The band thought that the game was over, and they found a way to get in the end zone and score. I'm like, are you serious? Like, yeah. And yeah, and then I did my research on it. I found out, yeah, this shit was actually true. For the longest time, I would see it on TV, and I thought they were just being silly with a commercial or something. And then I you know, my dad told me, and then I studied about it, and then shit, that's crazy, man. That is crazy. And those guys are, you know, imagine having a 250, 300-pounder running through you, and you're like a little band, you know, part of the nerd community. Oh my lord.
The Le Mans disaster. Because of auto racing's dangerous nature, car crashes come with the territory.
This is huge because you go head on. And that TV does not do that justice. That is an incredible impact head on. Those are the kind of accidents that absolutely are frightening.
However, they seldom have spectator fatalities. Unfortunately, the 1955 24 Hours of Le Mans was the site of both. Pierre Levesque died after his Mercedes crashed into Lance Macklin's car, taking over 80 spectators with him. Those that weren't killed by flying debris likely perished in the fire that erupted when the fuel tank burst.
In a few ghastly seconds, death wipes out whole families. LeVay is killed before his wife's eyes, and some 70 spectators with him. Among the bodies, frantic survivors seek their friends.
Before we unveil our number one pick, here...
I'm not sure what happened there exactly. Maybe some of you guys, you know, Marty can explain it to me. Oh, Marty's not that old, actually. But anyway, somebody else explain what exactly happened right there. It was like in black and white. You know, obviously I'm still a young cat, so I don't know.
Here are a few honorable mentions.
And he pretends to be hurt, but this one hurts. Boom! On the chin. Anderson's hurt. That one finishes him off. He's out cold.
If you can bear to watch it, take a look, but it's a terrible looking.
That's the one I watched the other day with the UFC, where he's kind of like making a mess, and then he like gets him. It was very weird. That was Anderson Silva. What the fuck, Anderson Silva, man? My friend's like, oh my lord, Anderson Silva, he's so good. Anytime I see Anderson Silva, he's getting his ass whooped. Like, didn't he have a fight a few years ago where he actually broke his foot or something? Literally, like his leg came off.
Injury.
Moises is unhappy with the fans, but Moises went into...
I remember this shit, 2003, Chicago versus Miami. Chicago was about to go to the World Series, and then from there everything changed and ended up losing. And the World Series ended up being Miami versus New York Yankees, and Miami won. Can you imagine the World Series being Chicago Cubs, New York Yankees? Can you imagine the money that was lost? Like, you go from Chicago Cubs, a very famous franchise, to the Miami Marlins. Like, no disrespect, because they actually ended up being the Yankees in the World Series. But damn it, can you imagine the money you could have gotten from 2003 Chicago Cubs, New York Yankees World Series? Oh my lord.
The seats, he could have had that ball, a fan interfered with him.
Number 1, the Hand of God goal. It was in 1986 that the FIFA World Cup was the stage of the world's biggest game with the world's biggest football star. Argentina and England faced off in a match that went down in history because Diego Maradona scored not one, but 2 of the sport's most famous goals ever. First was the Hand of God goal, which he appeared to score with his hand.
I think people talk about this, how he accidentally, I guess he put it with his hand and put the goal in, and then they asked him, it was God's hand. I'm like, dude, come on, man, stop being silly.
That controversial goal was let through because the refs had not seen it. 4 minutes later, the Argentine footballer landed the goal of the century when he dribbled the ball past several English players by himself.
Comes inside Butcher, leaves him for dead. Outside Fennec, leaves him for dead. And puts the ball away. And that is why Maradona's the greatest player in the world. He buried the English defense. He picked up that ball 40 yards out.
Do you agree with our list? What do you think is the craziest moment in sports? If you didn't see a moment you think should be on here, be sure to check out our video of the top 10 unsportsmanlike moments in sports and subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
They're going to pull that guy apart.
Yeah, 2 moments where I think it should have been in there was the Evander Holyfield, what was it, where he, was it Mike Tyson? Or the Evander Holyfield Mike Tyson where he knocks the ear off. That one should have been on there. But he bites the ear off. Watermelon, and educate us, and we ain't talking books. Anyway, you're a big boxing fan. I don't know, Watermelon's like John Cena, we just can't see him, but he's actually a big boxing fan. I think he's just shy. anyways, yeah, that moment, and also the fight between the Pacers, the Detroit Pistons and the Indiana Pacers. Remember Ron Artest, Ben Wallace, everybody, Steven Jackson, and it went into the crowd. That should have been a part of this shit thing too. I think those two, they screwed up. Maybe some moments of that 2007 Super Bowl too. To me, the biggest in my lifetime, the biggest upset in sports history. The New York Giants, 9-7 New York Giants beating the 18-1 the 18-1 New England Patriots. That was a big moment there. To me, that is the biggest upset I've ever seen in my life. But I believe, yeah, the 9-7 New York, the 9-7 New York Giants beating the 16-0 New England Patriots. That was when I did my top 10 Super Bowls, I believe, back in February. To me, that was my top 1 Super Bowl in that top 10 list. That to me hasn't, but that's more like a game. But I mean, yeah, like moments, I don't know if you can put it in there. But anyways, I'm the man that runs the place. I am as good as advertised. And until next time, I will see you later.